Right, Sally, obviously from your experiences, your training and everything else that you've done, you've put together these kits which now you both sell and donate to various places, organisations, etc. Do you want to just go through how these can help?
Yeah, so when we found out my daughter was self-harming, social services told us to put a safety kit together for her. And when we were going through that traumatic time, I absolutely had no idea where to start. I went onto Google, and other than the standard first aid kit, there was sort of nothing specific for self-harm or age appropriate. So after I'd kind of done all the studying, research and courses, I realised kind of what was needed. So we do two types of kit. We do the safety kit, which contains first aid, and the distraction boxes, which are designed more for children from around the age of 8 upwards. And we try to get those kits into schools for children who are struggling with difficult emotions and potentially showing signs that self-harm could be a bit of an issue. So both the kits work on the delay and replay strategy. So if somebody that's going to self-harm can delay their mindset between 30 and 45 seconds, they're less likely to self-harm. So by going to their kit, seeing some of the distractions and the alternatives is sometimes enough to change that mindset. They can put their photographs and personal things inside the kits as well, which work really well, because obviously if they see a photograph of a pet, family holiday, a day out, then already that kind of changes their thought pattern. You can put sweets and stuff like that in them as well. But the delay and replace strategy is where, obviously, what it says, so you delay the mindset and you replace it with an alternative. The safe alternatives that we provide in the kits are elastic bands that you can flick on the skin, and it obviously stings. And all the kits as well have these ice cube moulds that need to go in the freezer, and then you can hold them in your hands, you get that cold ache. Both the ice cube moulds and the elastic bands release endorphins because they hurt, which is the body's natural relaxant and painkiller, which is why when somebody self-harms, they have an initial period of calm and relaxation, they feel content, but when them endorphins wear off, they then obviously generally feel a lot of regret, remorse, self-loathe, that type of thing. All the kits as well have breathing exercise cards in, so box breathing and also grounding techniques. They all contain a little journal, so obviously journaling is really positive for mental health. Write down thoughts, feelings, things good about your day. And all the journals are stitched rather than stapled, because obviously if they were stapled, the staples could be taken out and used as a tool. They all contain coloured pens. So the red pen can be used to draw a mock wound and then can be dressed like a normal wound, because one of the theories of self-harm is that some people like the self-care and nurturing afterwards. So if somebody can draw a mock wound and dress it like a real wound, they still have that same self-care. And the coloured pens, again, so people can draw patterns and pictures on their skin. So again, that's delaying. And then once they've kind of spent the time to draw the artwork, they then don't want to ruin it by cutting or self-harm over it. The safety kits contain a massive bundle of first aid in there. The first aid is cut specific, so plasters are kind of long and thin. The wipes in there are alcohol free, because some of the kits go to rehab centres where people struggle with alcohol misuse. If the wipes have got alcohol in, they suck them. The boxes that go into the schools don't have any first aid, because it's trying to nip self-harm in the bud before it does become a problem. They have lots of fiddle and fidgets in there, so lots of nice textures. There's also some lavender in there, so it's very sensory. So yeah, there's sort of quite nice things in there. There's little cards in there that sometimes, that just say nice little motivational things. All the kits as well contain a leaflet with alternative and self-care ideas, and also the basics of the delay and replace strategy by using the alternatives, so the journaling, the elastic bands, the ice cubes and the drawing on the skin, but also basic first aid, because a lot of young people don't know any first aid, so they'll cut themselves and then don't know how to manage the wound. So it's just a very basic overview of how to look after a wound, because obviously it's really important that if somebody is going to self-harm, they need to be able to take care and know how to manage their wounds, because we don't want infection or nasty scarring.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the things I used to do in the mental health side when I worked for one of the private mental health hospitals. When they did self-harm, they were encouraged to deal with it themselves.
Yes.
So we taught them to do their own bandaging, etc. Because you say it's quite important if they're going to do it when no one's around, then at least they can stem a bleed and
most self-harmers do it in secret.
That's
you know,
right.
and usually self-harm is discovered by accident. Very rarely will somebody kind of confess that they're self-harming. It's normally because they've either got themselves in a muddle because they've damaged themselves too much, or it's found by accident.
Yeah. It's really good. It just amazes me that schools and things need these products.
It's sad, but it's thought that 1 in 15 young people currently self-harm. So in a high school of 2,000 kids, that's around 135 children that are potentially struggling with self-harm. And these are obviously the ones that we know of. Cases could be a lot higher because I speak to people who've self-harmed and said they've never told a soul, you know, so it is kind of like so much stigma again around self-harm that people do tend to keep it a secret.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, well, these are really brilliant, and obviously, we've got your details, so if anything comes up through that people want any more information, we'll make sure we pass them on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.